Hello everybody, long time no see and all that good stuff. Today I want to talk about Venus retrograde. So Venus retrograde went in effect October 5th, and it goes direct on the 15th of this month. It always lasts like 40 days. As for me, I'm always sensitive to all of these planetary shifts, so I probably started feeling like in the last week or so of September, and I didn't think it was going to be significant for me, but it is in all of the best and worst ways at the same time. So Venus obviously rules relationships and love and things like that, but it, for whatever reason, this particular retrograde really affects the sign of Taurus and my moon sign in Taurus. Yeah, my moon is in Taurus, so it made me like really emotional. And when I say really emotional, like, y'all know I'm a Cancer, but and Cancers are emotional, but it's like dealing with emotional issues makes it worse, and I've been crying like every goddamn day. It's getting on my nerves. I really feel like as a Cancer that I was emotional as a child. Like, you can't control your emotions more than anything. I know other people that are Cancers and they cry at the drop of a hat, but it's not me. Like, that's just not me. I'm a rising Virgo, and I'm very Virgo-like, if that makes sense. I don't show a lot of emotion, and if I do, then it's like I know who I'm around when I do it. And that's exactly what this Venus retrograde was beating me up about. Not about being a Cancer, but about emotion and the expression of emotion. I did also realize some things about relationships, but more so it's been on the emotional side. And really, for me, it's made me question my identity. I'm trying to explain it in a way that makes sense. Like, okay, one of the main things that popped up for me as far as emotion is expression. And I have been this person that doesn't express my emotions, and I thought, where during this retrograde I've been thinking about, where did that come from? Why did I stop the expression of how I feel about things, both verbally, artistically, just in general. And it really brought me back to a certain place in my childhood where my voice did not matter. And so therefore, I realized that over time, I always had a tendency to be shy, but not non-vocal, if that makes sense. Like, if I had to say something, there was a point in time where I could just say it and go back to my little corner. And I became this person that just allows everybody to walk over me. And so I don't know if I said this before in the shadow work videos. It may be a repetition. If it's your first time watching, I do deep spiritual work. So, and I've been doing it for a while. And this really threw me into some whole other shadows that I was just not even thinking about. Not even realize how much they affect me. And so, here we go. So, when I was a kid, I had this reoccurring dream all the time. And in this dream, y'all know I'm from Maryland, and in this dream, we are going across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, which is the one that is like almost 20 miles long. And as a child, I was so scared of that bridge. Shut up. That bridge scares adults too. Forget that. Like, it's scary. It's long as hell, man. But anyway, it's especially scary for children, I guess. Some kids. Anyway, I was one of the kids that was scared of it. And because I felt like it was too long. And in the dream, my mom is driving, and my god sister is in the passenger seat, and I am directly behind her in the back seat. So on the right hand side. And in the dream, we're driving across the bridge, and I kind of had my eyes covered because I don't want to see all of that water. It just makes me nervous. And my god sister reaches her arm back and opens my car door, and I start freaking out. And I don't have a seatbelt on. And my mom reaches her arm back, her right arm back, and pushes me out of the car. And it's like we're always driving on the last thing. What do you call it? The last lane that's closest to the railing. And when she pushes me, I flip over the railing. And for some reason, I don't like immediately sink in the water. The water is like a video game. And I slide across it like I'm Sonic or some shit. And then I sink like a video game. And I had a dream over and over and over again, which is why I can remember it very well. So the time that I started having this dream, I was probably about 7 years old. And obviously the dream is about feeling powerless in my situation. And at the time, the situation that I was in, I was being sexually abused by my god sister, and I tried on more than one occasion to tell my mom, and she was just always this person that was punishing me. And I want y'all to take this word punishment and hold it in your head, because it's relevant for me, and I didn't realize how relevant it was. But she always kept punishing me, like, especially in front of other people. Like, you know how other parents be like, nah, my kid didn't do nothing. Like, you better get out of my face. My child is innocent. You know, no matter what it is that you did. Or, you know what I mean? I knew people whose parents were like that. My mom was the opposite. Whatever somebody came to her and said, she would whoop me first. And she did not come back and ask questions most of the time. Actually, I don't remember her ever coming back and asking a question. Whereas other people might whoop you first because somebody said it, and then they'll come back and say, well, did you do it? You know what I mean? Things like that. But no, I knew other people whose mom be like, my child didn't do nothing. And my mom was not that person. She never gave me the benefit of the doubt, even though I was not a bad child. And my god sister knew it, and she took advantage of it. And all she had to do was get to my mom first. Before I could open my mouth to say, Mom, listen, I need to talk to you. Mom, do you know what I mean? It was just like, if I just said Mom, then here she was to jump in front of me. That was all she needed, as far as being able to get my mom to believe something that she said and not what I said. It was, unfortunately, it really left me open for the abuse, because you can easily abuse a child who nobody believes, you know what I mean? And I did not realize that I was so angry about that. I mean, like, murderously angry. I did not realize. I really don't pay much attention to anger at all within myself, because it's not that common for me. I really don't get mad. But I didn't realize how angry I was with my mom for not believing me, for never giving me a chance to. Number one, she didn't protect me. But number two, it's like, you didn't even give me a chance to get myself out of it because you didn't listen. And secondly, I realized I was angry with myself because while my mom is, the person that created me, I realized that I could have told my grandma, or I could have told my aunt. I could have told one of my older cousins. I could have told somebody, and I told nobody. Nobody at all. I just endured it. I endured it because, well, two reasons. One, I endured it because my mom and my grandmother were fighting at the time about some other stuff that my mom had done to my grandmom. So I felt like I didn't want to put more strain on the two of them in their relationship. And then my aunt's a violent ass person. I was scared that if I told her that she would try to kill somebody. She was a violent person. So I just wanted it to stop. I didn't want anybody to be hurt. I didn't want anybody to fight and argue, but I just wanted it to stop. And we went to, for some period of time, we lived with them. My mom had nowhere to stay. We lived with my godmother, my godfather, and actually, yeah, about 2 years, the whole entire time it went on. And then my mom moved when she got her own place finally, and then it was like just when they came over, then that would happen, which was not as often as living in the same house as them. However, sorry, I'm trying to stay focused. They were really religious, and we went to church with them all the time, and I think that made it worse. It made me at a young time accept abuse as life. It made me accept a punishment as life, and I can't even explain to the depth of how damaging religion is to the psyche. Like, I felt like at 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, as if that was my burden to carry. You know, people in church, they always talk about, like, we all have our burdens to carry and not to complain. And I felt like if my god sister's going to do this to me and nobody's going to let me speak up about it, everybody's going to act like they don't see it. And the reason why I say that now is because I didn't know it then, but I learned later that she was getting kicked out of everybody's goddamn house because of what she was doing to me. She was doing to her, trying to do to her friends. You know, people used to have sleepovers. I don't know if people still have sleepovers. Probably for this fucking reason that they don't. But, you know, back then when people used to have sleepovers and she would be sleeping over at her friend's house, come to find out, so many of the parents did not want her at their house because their daughters told on her that, you know, she was trying to touch them and things like that. And people her age, people younger than her, there were so many people that she wasn't allowed at their house. So my thing is, it wasn't something that my mom didn't know. She knew that shit. So why didn't you protect me? If you knew that she was doing that, what made you think that I was any different if we sleeping in the same bed? And it's like every time you turn around, I'm fighting her. We're making noise. Like, you hear, you know, us fighting and stuff in the room. And it wasn't often my mom because my mom worked night shift. It was most often her mother that would come in the room and be like, y'all stop playing around in here. What are y'all doing? Why are y'all fighting? Things like that. And then she would just slam the door. And then she'd tell my mom in the morning that I was hitting her daughter all night and things like that. I feel like what the fuck, she set me up to be abused because you knew that something was wrong with that girl. Like, you knew that shit. I'm expressing my anger. I didn't realize that I was angry with them, and I was so angry with everybody involved in the situation, because it wasn't a secret that she was that way, if that makes sense. But more importantly, the religion went on to really mess up my head and really make me think that I didn't need to tell anybody about it. And oftentimes, this is why I said hold the word punishment. My punishment was to go and read the Bible. And I had to not only read it, I had to write reports on it. And so, it wasn't like a thing that like she was just abusing me at nighttime. It was like she would say smart shit during the day. Like, I'm gonna get you tonight and things like that. And if I would hit her for it or something like that, then I would get in trouble and be punished. And I gotta go upstairs and read the Bible because that's gonna make me into a better person and make me behave better when I'm acting out from abuse. Right? And I got really good at the Bible because I got to read it all the time. I read all the way through this children's Bible, so I just started reading a regular adult Bible. And just studying everything through it, and I got even better at it. And it was like I couldn't attend children's church because I already knew all of the stories and knew even more about it. And it was like I would get in trouble for that, for speaking out of turn, for knowing more than other people, for answering questions that no one asked, stupid shit like that. And it was like every time you turn around, I was this person that was being punished. And I learned that don't be you, because you're going to be punished for it. And to some extent, going through puberty, I was myself and not caring so much what people thought. But it kind of dissipated, if that makes sense, as I got older, because it was like I wore what I wanted to wear, I dressed the way I wanted to dress, I acted the way I wanted to act, talked the way I wanted to talk, that type of thing. But it was like always this time and a place type thing for it. In so many ways, I felt like my clothes were my only form of expression, and obviously my writing. That I could write any way I wanted to. I didn't follow any sort of format. And I wrote everywhere and everything. And I used to do weird stuff like write things in a circle and write from right to left, even though we read left to right. I used to do stuff like that just for fun, using gel pens and drawn cartoons and stuff all along the sides of my journal. It was like I was this whole other person inside of my journals than what I couldn't be in real life. And even more parts of me began to die. Like, I'm not going to sit up there and get too detailed about it, but it's like the idea of punishment became ingrained in me, and I began to punish myself. Shit. I feel like I would have cried now, but I'm not. I'm not going to, because I'm fucking sick of crying right now. Like, y'all don't even know. Every day, and like multiple times, and I don't mean like crying like some tears fall. I mean like ugly cry. Every day. But those parts of me are healing, and they're probably the most important parts and the most hidden parts of myself. So while I hate this retrograde, I'm also very grateful to it. Because damn, I didn't realize I was that angry. I didn't realize that I learned to punish myself. I became somebody that was very sad and very depressed and very withdrawn from everything, and only living in my own mind, only living in my journals, only living in my dreams. I wasn't somebody that was living in real life, and I took that with me into adulthood. And because I took that into adulthood, you know, you start having relationships, like romantic relationships, and I realized that it really wasn't them. Like, you sit up here and you say to yourself, like, oh, such and such broke my heart, or this person was an asshole, or this person was this person was that, when really it wasn't about them at all. It was about me, and I wasn't being me. Not only was I not being me, I was being a fraction of the me that I allowed myself to be when I got in relationships. And that's some bullshit. I never expressed what it was that I needed. Now, granted, I was young, 19 years old. You don't exactly know what you want at 19, but even the things that I knew that I wanted and needed, I did not express it. So how could somebody love me if I didn't love me? How could somebody respect me or give me what it was that I wanted and needed if I didn't express it? Even less if I didn't know it. You know what I mean? I realized that punishment can mean so much, and for fuck's sake, I have learned to punish myself all the way up until now, all the way up until right now that my eyes are open about it. And I know that sounds like how, after all of this spiritual work, and I've done so much spiritual work, like, how can that be possible, right? It's starting to get cold. But pleasure, Venus ruling over relationships and sex, I guess. I didn't allow myself to experience pleasure. And when I say pleasure, I mean like not just sexually, but like pleasure is having nice clothes to put on, having really good taste in food, I allow myself pleasure in certain senses, because you have 5 senses, right? Or 6, whichever way you want to look at it. I realized that I deny myself the sense of touch for the most part. Most of my life, even though I burn with fucking desire, I do not allow myself that much sexual pleasure, which is touch. I'm not that affectionate, and I try harder to be, because I've become more aware of it, but I'm still not as affectionate as I want to be, as far as like hugs and kisses and things like that go, because I guess that's another form of punishment, self-punishment. This video is getting long, but let me just say it anyway, because I'm not the only person. I can't fucking be the only person. What else was I about to say? As far as touch, yeah. That and sight, if anything else. As far as engaging your senses and really being sensual, really experiencing pleasure through the senses, I don't allow myself the pleasure of sight. And by that I mean, like, damn it, I've always wanted to travel, and I put any obstacle, any insignificant little obstacle in the way of me traveling, period. Even when I had the money to, I find somebody else's fake ass emergency as being more important. I realized that, especially last year, I was so intent on going to, no, that wasn't last year, I turned 31, wait, whatever, 30, when I turned 30. That wasn't last year, duh. I was so intent on spending my 30th birthday in Colombia, and I had 2 weeks of vacation time saved up. I had the money saved up. I had already started pricing the tickets, and I was looking for either an Airbnb or some extended type place to stay, preferably Airbnb, because my plan was to take the 2 weeks and hit all the major cities like Cali and Cartagena and Medellin and Bogota. I wanted to go to those 4 for sure within the 2 weeks, like spend a few days at each place and then head back, right? And I talked about it all the time. And you know what I did when I got closer to, let's just say, okay, my birthday's in June. The closer I got to it, the more I saw my account go up, and knowing like, okay, this money is aside for my savings, I even bought the plane ticket. And my sister called me saying that, she needed this, she needed that, and she didn't know how she was going to get out of it, and this, that, and the other. And all I needed to say was, why is that my fucking problem? Not to her in that rude ass way, I ain't had to say it like that, but to myself, like, why is it your problem? Go on your fucking trip. You 30 years old, like, you haven't gone nowhere. You done bought a passport 4 years ago and still ain't used this shit. Like, that's all I had to say was, why is it my problem? And I didn't. Not only did I help her, I even helped her all the way down to the last job, all the way down to my vacation time, spending my time helping her and having to use my vacation time in my place. Like, that's some bullshit. That is some real bullshit, and I forgive myself for that. What were you thinking? Never again. Like, I need to allow myself more pleasure in my life that is healing, and not to mention all of these wound issues. I realize that, you always hear people talking about, oh, you bleeding heavy. As far as holistic health goes, you feel like you're hearing people saying, oh, you're bleeding heavy, or you have all of this stuff stored up in your room. You got all of these, shut up, this trauma-filled, go on, y'all. Like, I don't even know why somebody's bothering me. Let me start tripping. But I'm like, you hear people saying that stuff, and I just felt like it didn't apply to me. I really felt like it didn't apply to me. And And lo and behold, yes, it does. Yes, I did have anger stuck inside of my womb. Yes, I was upset about things. Yes, I've been deprived so much. But more importantly, the anger. For real. And if you think those things aren't interconnected, and I was like, no, these people are bullshitting. But now I really see it, and immediately my period was later. It came late at that, and I was like, oh shit, what's going on? But not only did it come later, it was lighter. And I was like, so this stuff works. Like, getting rid of this thing works. But I never realized, like, how much anger I was holding inside with other people and with myself. And I realized that I've been so angry with myself as far as not experiencing pleasure and watching other people experience life. And lately I've been angry about being unemployed, but I kind of realized why I'm unemployed, honestly. I feel like it's difficult, but at the same time, I feel like the universe is like, let me, like, as if it somehow went ahead of me and set this time apart just to heal myself, just to see myself and heal those issues. And I still feel kind of low energy and kind of sad and kind of depressed, but that side of me, it's time for me to go. It's time to let that mentality of punishment, that mentality of holding myself back, because all I do is hold myself back. I have so many ideas and so many ways that I could be helping people, and I don't, because I learned to not believe in myself fully. Even though I've done all of this self-esteem work and all of this shadow work, it's like I still sit in front of myself not doing any fucking thing all the time, and I feel pissed off about it. And I'm so glad that this retrograde is about to end. I'm so glad we're about to get out of this energy, and I'm about to let the part that, you know what I mean, I was telling my sister that yesterday, like, shit, I feel like I can't do nothing, like it's hard to get out of bed, and then it's like I turn around crying again. But it's some part of me healing that I didn't realize was there. And like I said, it's time, it's past due time for her to heal, to let go of that anger, and to release, and to go forward and fucking live, man. Like, live for real. And so I can't wait for that sense of freedom and not being locked into the cells of my own mind, into the jail of self-punishment, of holding myself back. Anyway, this video is long enough. If you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I want to know if anybody else is feeling this Venus retrograde stuff as strongly as I am. Yeah. Have a good one.